and I'm with Cristina Gecolea, and we are going to talk about abundance and how Bashar defines it and different other ideas around the topic of abundance.
Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting me today. I'm actually a big fan of Abraham, if I can say that. And it's through Abraham that I learned about Bashar. And then he mentioned something. It was specifically the definition of abundance. And Bashar said that it's the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. And that just resonated with me. And after I heard him say that, I was hooked. So, and that's why I'm so happy to be here to talk about abundance.
Wow, that's really interesting. You really resonated with that definition. Could you explain why it resonated with you so much?
Of course, I find that specifically in Western society, I'm Canadian, and I feel there's this big focus on abundance being financial, specifically monetary. Um, People are into money, and I think that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing because money lets you buy necessities like food and clothing. But beyond that, I think the idea of abundance, it's more encompassing, meaning there's a lot more to it. Abundance could be gifts that you receive. For example, if it's your birthday and someone gave you a gift, I perceive that as abundance. Or you being able to give someone a gift, not because there's an occasion, but because you are inspired to give them something out of your own heart, because maybe you've been friends with this person for a while and you just appreciate them. So for me, just having that opportunity and the freedom and the choice to give, for me, that's very exciting.
It feels abundant to be able to give with the no expectation of anything in return. Just I agree with that. Like just being able to give. I also think that the feeling of abundance can be almost come in any form that we look around us. You know, we have all of these things in this physical illusion that we have, and each thing is a form of abundance. It's everywhere if you really think about it. And another thing that Bashar says is that the abundance, there's always abundance, even if it's an abundance of lack.
Mm.
So it's a constant state of being that we're in, the state of abundance. But we might not experience it as that because we might be experiencing an abundance of lack.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts? Have you ever heard him say that?
Actually, it's quite funny and in synchronicity that you mentioned that example because I was having this conversation last night with my sister. I live on the West Coast, she lives on the East Coast, and we were talking about she bought these stationery that were so cute, and she's like, "How am I going to use this? They're so cute." And I said, you can appreciate it, and by you actually using it and sharing it with people, it's like you're abundantly multiplying, if that makes sense. And then somehow I brought up Bashar because I like to talk about Bashar with her. She's a big Abe fan, and I said, Bashar defines abundance this way, how he just mentioned it. And I actually said too that there's only abundance and lack of abundance. So that definition in itself, it's like we're so free to think and we're in control of creating our own reality that we can believe that there is lack. So really, it's just you have this or you don't have this, or not enough of this, and it's a perception or an illusion. It may be true because a person believes that so intensely that they then create a reality. Like, for example, in more concrete terms, if let's say I was in a relationship with someone and we broke up, then I believe that right now there's a shortage of people for me to be with because I'm in a state of mind where I'm just maybe hurt or angry that I separated from my beloved and now I'm like in a raw emotional state. So then I'm perceiving, I came from a place of there's so much love to no, not enough love, or there's not love for me. But that's not entirely true because it's only right now, like this moment, that I'm thinking that.
Yeah, exactly. And holding that vibration is only going to give you more of that vibration, which is that you believe in lack, or you believe that there's no love for you. So have you discovered how to shift from that state where you find yourself in maybe a lower vibrational state where you're holding a belief in lack and you're getting that reflection?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's part of the experience of growing and learning is you have a certain belief. And thank you for asking me that question. I used to think before Bashar, honestly, I used to think that abundance really did mean money. And that's actually why I offered that example in the beginning. Because I grew up, my father's an economist, so he thinks in terms of finances and, you know, money and what is missing, what is adding, balancing, and all that stuff. And then I have a more creative, artistic mother, and I always feel that for her, creative ideas, imagination, it's part of her business. So that is also her definition of abundance. So coming from a family that has kind of both sides of the definition of abundance, I feel okay, I can pick whatever serves me best. And I think as I grew up like in this world as a younger person, my definitions were more the economic side because of my dad. Whereas now it's like, oh no, there's more than one definition. Like if someone, let's say, wants to trade services with me, I'm a transformational coach or life coach, and they can't afford to pay for sessions, it doesn't mean that I'm going to refuse them service. I'm just going to start exploring other ways that we may exchange. So, kind of like a barter, right? And I feel that, some coaches would say, why would you do that? It's a service. It's like you go to a dentist, you have to pay the dentist in money. Well, for me, I'm in control of my abundance. And I know I have paying clients, and I'm opening myself to whoever is here for me to work with right now who might need me. And if they cannot afford paying money at this moment in time, that's not the end of it. There are other ways. And we can trade, if that makes sense, Erin, trade time with each other. Maybe they have a network that I can tap into, or vice versa, kind of thing. So for me, it's just opening ourselves to what abundance could be, and not just limiting ourselves to what we know our definition is or what we've learned. I think it makes it rich, like a okay, that's no pun intended. It's a richer experience.
So when you do find yourself maybe in that more limited belief system of having not enough or believing in lack, what you're saying is to expand your definitions of what abundance means. And I really resonate with that. Yeah. Can be done in any situation, really, where you find yourself in that belief in lack vibration, is to expand your definitions.
I'm glad you used the word expansion because for me, that is the essence of abundance. And I feel like this world, the universe, it's not lack, it's more, more, more. And you can incorporate everything. It's just you need to clear space for it, either in your physical reality or in your mind. And it is just that. It's just a shift in thinking, right? So if you're thinking, oh, I can't afford this car, and you're wanting to buy a car, for example, but right now business is slow or something, just this is just a random example, then you're going to think, if you ask the question, how do I afford this car, instead of, I can't afford this car, maybe I shouldn't buy it. Do you feel the shift in energy when I say each of those two examples.
Yeah, definitely. There's a big difference. Is this the type of thing you work with your transformational coaching people?
Yes, I work with a variety of situations, goal setting within the context of relationships. But as a life coach, I do find that I have clients who, they are their own worst enemy. And I feel that that's hard to be a reality in your own life if you're thinking that you have limiting beliefs, but you're not aware of them. So in my profession, it's having these vulnerable conversations with them on a one-on-one setting, and we're really exploring their definitions of things. And it's a conversation. For people who don't know what life coaching is, it's not like a therapy client, meaning we don't coaches don't think of clients as, oh, you have an illness and we're trying to heal you. No, you're not broken. It's you have something in your life right now that you want to work through, and I'm your partner in helping you clear the path. So if right now, let's say weight loss is a common obstacle for some people, first we start to ask questions about the definition of what is a healthy weight and why. And it always comes back to, why do you want that? Like, for what reason? And the uncovering of stuff. And it's really clients, what they want, they have it. It's just they think they don't have it. So I find that it's interesting. And again, I'm sorry if that's a long example. It feeds back into this whole abundance. There is no lack. It's all there. It's like you think that you don't have money, but you actually have money. But you keep thinking that you don't have money, then it becomes this game in your head, and then you've convinced yourself that that's your reality when really it's not.
Right. It just might be invisible to you, but it's there. You just haven't matched the frequency of the money that you desire yet, because you're going through processes, and that those processes are valid ways that you've chosen to go through these things and to learn new things. So I think that's really important when when we don't have what we think we want, to realize from a higher level we're choosing everything, and we're choosing these processes to learn certain things. And when we can accept that, we can really start to tap into the abundance that the process itself is giving us, and to enjoy, like, I bet a lot of people enjoy your sessions with them, just to enjoy the present moment, what's happening now, and not necessarily be waiting for something in the future to unfold. And that helps to create that vibration where more and more will start to unfold.
I'm glad you mentioned the words vibration and frequency. I really agree with you on that. And when you said, it could be invisible to you or to the client, that, they have all these blessings in their life. Like, for example, a single mom with kids was one of my clients. And in the beginning, she started off the sessions very closed off because she was afraid to bring to the surface her true feelings. And the gist of it is, well, I should be grateful I have kids. But it's really these feelings, you can't just shoo them away. You have to explore why you're not feeling it. It shouldn't be a should, is what I'm saying. So she came from this place where, I have kids, I'm glad to have them, but they stress me out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like a quick summary of it. But that wasn't really the issue. And just having that uncomfortable conversation in a safe space with me, on her own time, on her own schedule, no one telling her what to do, just her being free to explore. And we just uncovered basically that the issue was, she was unhappy in her relationship with a new boyfriend. And so, yes, she's glad that she has a new boyfriend, that he's very caring, but she still felt, not always, she still felt that the kids were a burden. No, she didn't say that, not those exact words, but that was the energy that came through. And I said, well, in this conversation, what is it about your kids that makes you happy? And just that one question. And she was quiet for what seemed like a very long time, but it was really just 5 minutes. But when you're sitting there in this highly charged emotional state and I'm looking at her, she looks like she's about to cry. Have I asked her a super rude question? Is this not something I should have asked? And she's like, I'm just happy that they're here with me. And that was it. And she started crying. And, it's just, you realize stuff that's in your life that you may be reframing or thinking of in a different way because you're not in the vibration until someone either points it out to you or you realize it. And that goes back into what you said about frequency and vibration. Like you can't perceive it unless you're on the same wavelength. And someone had to ask her this question to her face because she may have asked it, but then when the feelings of my kid stressed me out came up, she would push it away and then, it would disappear. And I feel that all of us, we have examples in our life. We're so abundant. It's really ridiculous. And I don't choose that word lightly, that some people choose to believe otherwise, like, just another example, Erin, if I may, online dating. Like there's a lot of people that are saying there's no good people to date. Well, if that's the attitude that you come with online or whatever apps have you, I feel like you've already started off on the wrong foot or vibration or frequency. How can you attract someone if that is the opening belief that you have, that there's no good men or women out there?
Yeah. And even if you do attract someone that might be actually a great catch, you might not see that in them because you're coming from the point where there's no good people out there. So you're going to get that version of them that might not be so fun for you, because you're in that vibration. I do wanted to mention about the last part, what you were talking about how you were helping the woman kind of acknowledge her feelings, her more negative feelings about her children. First, she had to look at that, and then she was able to kind of tap into the more positive appreciation of her children. But you provided the safe space for her to actually express that she sometimes does feel stressed out. And I think we have to acknowledge that and validate that and not feel guilty for those types of feelings. And you really allowed her to come into contact with more self-love for herself, I think, by just having compassion for herself in the acknowledgement of those feelings. So that's really a great service.
Thank you, Erin. And I like that you use the word compassion. That's how I approach it. If you had a friend, a relative that came to you and said that same thing, I'm not feeling good because whatever thought or belief they give you as an example, then you start to explore, well, why? Why do you think that? If you hear this person literally or out loud saying these bad stuff about them, I don't know about you, but I'm taken aback because I'm like, why would you say that about yourself? And it comes back to the whole self-love. And to me, it's not a bad thing. I think it's a great part of the human experience that we have the ability to have these negative, because the negative for me, it's like, just to put it in a different frame, the negative is darkness and the positive is light. And I don't mean good or evil. I just mean darkness, meaning you're not fully sure why. You haven't explored it. You haven't asked uncomfortable questions, maybe, or you're just not in the right space right now at this moment in time to explore deeper. And that's not a bad thing. You're feeling uncomfortable, stressed, anxious, worried because you don't know, but your inner being is saying to yourself, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? So it's just now when you start to go deeper, either asking yourself, having a conversation, going out in nature, there's an abundance of things that you could do then you start to realize, hey, I prefer feeling good. It is normal and natural, and there's so many great things about being alive. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who might say, well, yeah, it's easy for Bashar to speak about these things because he's not in a physical body, or, he's on a perfect parallel Earth version where they don't have these kind of problems. That's not the point. The point is he's showing us or sharing with us a way for us to expand our consciousness. And then he's bringing us the light. And that's actually how I feel Bashar is uplifting for me personally. I may think, oh, maybe I don't have a resistance about that. Then I watch a clip of someone asking him this question that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's how I think about that. That's why I'm getting this information right now. Then I start exploring. So for me, yeah, it's just really darkness and light, and information or lack of. And once you shed light on your beliefs, then you are free to do. Like if it serves you as a person to think the negative thoughts, maybe because you are getting something out of it, avoiding feeling pain, for example, or being ignored, not a bad thing. Just realize that that's a reality you chose.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing about Bashar is that he has said that they do have challenges, but they haven't defined challenges in a negative way at all. They find them exciting. And so I find his example is something that we can resonate with. We can see all of our challenges as exciting. If we do happen to come upon something that we initially might have a negative reaction to, sometimes I just remember, what would Bashar do? Or what would the Sasani do? Which he suggested. And the first thing I usually remember is that they see everything as something that serves them. They know that right away. They don't invalidate anything that happens in their life. It's all part of the artwork. And they're able to use anything that happens in a positive way. So just remembering that has helped me by remembering his example of how they face challenges in their world and see them as exciting.
I like that. Thanks for sharing that. I also feel whenever someone asks him and they say, oh, I'm trying, the problem is, these kind of words, and then he kind of pokes fun at them and saying, you what? And then either they stop and repeat, or they stop and they realize what they're doing and they reframe it. And I feel whenever he does that, he gives him back the power, because to me, energetically, it feels like, I'm going to say this, I'm not going to take responsibility for what's happening. But you're talking to Bashar, you can't do that. He's going to call you on it and help you realize that you're more powerful than you are. And that's the beauty of our experience. Like, we're here now, and then we have this helper, whether it be Bashar, the individual, Daryl Anka, the channeler, or their entire family of light. That's how I think about them. They're helping us all realize that we're richer than we think. And I don't mean financially, I mean spiritually, emotionally, psychologically.
I agree. I want to read one quote that really resonates with what you just said, a Bashar quote. So we can comment on that.
When you appreciate yourself fully, you will be rich beyond your wildest dreams in more ways than you can imagine, because you already are abundant. You all are already fully abundant. The issue is not learning to be abundant. The issue is learning what to be abundant in, because you are always abundant in something, even if it's an abundance of lack.
So the first part was, when you appreciate yourself fully, you will be rich beyond your wildest dreams in more ways than you can imagine. I love that, because we already are rich beyond our wildest dreams, but some of us don't appreciate ourselves enough to be able to experience that.
Could I ask you, Erin, how you define appreciate?
Oh, that's a great question. How I define it, it's just noticing how things serve me in a way, like noticing the uniqueness of whatever's happening. And it has a lot to do with art and slowing down and being present. Like appreciating myself is really like being embodied in my own body, sensing my body and where things might be a little bit out of alignment, and maybe sending some love to that. It's kind of, to me, it's like flowing unconditional love is appreciation. But I think with any frame of reality, appreciation can be experienced in a unique way, for with whatever I'm dancing with at the time. You know, just appreciating the uniqueness of everything and validating. So I know that's kind of maybe a little complicated and artistic answer, but it's just what I feel right now. How
No,
about you?
I think that's a great answer. I appreciated hearing about it, and thank you for sharing. For me, appreciation is unique to me too, meaning I'm realizing right now that whatever is happening, I own this moment in space and time. So I can think of it however I want, and I can either ignore it or run away from it or embrace it. And that's how I feel appreciation is. It's this whatever experience, it could be good, bad, painful, joyful. If I embrace it, then I'm now open to see what's there, but not just what is there, what seeing beyond, seeing within. If someone gave me an apple, for example, and I'm full, it's not that I wouldn't appreciate it. It's I would say, well, I can save it for later. But I love Apple, so I would probably say, well, thank you. I appreciate that you remembered that I love Apple. So I'm gonna make that into something later that maybe we can share. Or if I was hungry right now and someone did give me an apple, I would probably say thank you and then eat it, because that's how happy I am to have an apple.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful example. Actually, that's very synchronous with me, because I got a bag of apples the other day and I reached in and one was rotten.
Mm.
And I felt like it was a waste, especially in these times when people are having less financial income. It was like, what can I do with this rotten apple that I got? I would like to be able to use it and not just discard it. But I wasn't able to really come up with anything, so I just threw it away. Do you have any ideas on what I could have done, or?
I don't know if there are birds in your backyard, but I would have, if I had a rotten apple, I would probably just leave it out in the yard if you have a yard.
Yeah.
Though it will attract birds that will want to eat it, and then they'll start to expect that from you, kind of thing. So,
I guess I wasn't on that frequency to think of that for some reason, because I do have a backyard. I could have just thrown it out there. You know, that's interesting.
Yes.
The next time, next time I'll know. Maybe I needed to experience that not knowing so I could share it on this video and give other people the idea.
I agree with that. I agree. You can't, and not that you can't. If you don't have all the answers right now, I think it's great, because that means there's room for you to explore, have conversations, discover things, maybe even get answers while you're sleeping. And I feel it's one apple. You still have the entire bag, and I'm sure there's a lot of apples in that bag.
Yeah, and just knowing there's a reason that maybe you don't know what to do with it right now is kind of giving it value by saying, well, I don't know why, I don't have any other ideas to do with this, but there must be a reason. I don't know what that is yet. Yeah. And then it's revealed later, just like what happened here. So would you like me to read another quote that we could discuss, maybe?
Sure, if I have time. So whatever you go with, I will gladly explore with you.
That's why you have excitement. It lets you know, here it is. Here's the thing that represents the vibration of the path you chose to be. Do it. And when you do it, you will attract abundance into your life. If you do not believe you're seeing the attraction of that abundance into your life, it is because you are not yet fully giving over to the trust of your excitement.
So
I love that.
Yeah. Interesting. I think part of our human theme is to, what we were talking about before, expand our definitions of abundance. You know, and so some people who might just be looking for financial reward when they're doing their excitement might say, hey, I'm not getting anything from doing my excitement, but they are actually. You know, actually, financial abundance is one of my least preferred forms of abundance. I'd rather be like ecstatic, like passionate and having a great time. And to me, I don't define that as needing a lot of money to do that. You know? That's what excites me. I don't invalidate financial abundance. It's nice. It gives you a little bit more freedom. It can, but I've seen people so extremely happy and ecstatic who, you know, are maybe a little kid who doesn't even know what money means.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Thank you for bringing that up. It's not always money, like we said earlier. And I feel when Bashar uses that word excitement, it's so invigorating to hear it. I believe he said excitement is the complete kit, meaning if you're not sure what your passion is, you go with the energy. So if you have two paths, one is and the other is yes, definitely yes, then that's the energetic definition of excitement. That's if you follow this path, then you keep exploring that, then there are more opportunities for exciting. And now, to me, that seems self-explanatory, but when I was younger, I didn't get that because I came from the belief system that you had to struggle. Like if it came to you too easily, then maybe I didn't deserve it kind of thing. And now when looking back, I'm like, where did I learn that from? Maybe church, maybe from my society or the culture that I grew up in, but it's definitely not true because that's part of this whole fabric of existence. We're here because like we're pieces in a puzzle, and that whole like us, well, you said it earlier, you being you allows you to serve others. And when you're you, like without pretense, without feeling like you have to hide your brilliance, when you're just here I am, you're proud of who you are. And I don't mean egotistical proud, like you're genuinely happy that you get to be you. Like there's only one Aaron Elliott, you know,
Yeah.
and there's one me. It's not fair to compare anyone like apples to oranges. No, you appreciate the apple, you appreciate the orange, and for some people it's exciting to eat the apple like you and I, and some people are like, no, I prefer oranges. That's good because then now we have this ability and choices, and people who will want to eat the apple will gravitate toward it because they're following their excitement.
Right. But, if other people who didn't eat orange, I mean, if there weren't other people who wanted to eat oranges, the people who were eating the apples wouldn't even know that was a choice. Maybe there's some people who like to eat apples and oranges. So when they see someone eating an orange, they'll go, oh, that's a possibility. That's
Yeah.
why it is important for us to be ourselves. And we're always changing, and we're always learning from others. We're kind of matching others' frequencies, and we're becoming more of ourselves through that because we're seeing in others what resonates with us that we might not have known was there before without
Yeah.
their example of them being unique and them being themselves.
And I really like that you said that, yes, you can have both apples and oranges because, that's an abundant way of thinking. Like, why just have apples or just oranges when you can have both? It's there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe you wouldn't want both, but it's good to know that they're there
Yes.
and you can.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or would you like to wrap things up now?
I'm happy to wrap up, and I appreciate this opportunity to explore the abundance conversation with you.
Me too. It's been really fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.